Hi, what's up, man?
Okay, Norm, you're Canadian.
Yes, I am.
So what do you think of this whole presidential mess?
Well, I hope that the Democrats don't steal the election from the winner, you know, but who knows?
You like George Bush, don't you?
I love George Bush, man. He's a good man, decent, you know, none of this.
Here we see the president and the first bitch. Hey, slow down, you bitch. Let me catch up. Here we see President Clinton looking for something, anything, to hug besides his wife. This week in South Africa, Winnie Mandela was removed from the new government by her husband, President Nelson Mandela. A curious Bill Clinton later called Mr. Mandela to find out how exactly you go about doing something like that. Gosh, Hillary looks pretty in this photo here, doesn't she? Never realized she was such a looker till I see her here in this picture. A frightening moment this week for First Lady Hillary Clinton. Her plane, en route to the former Soviet Union, was forced to make an emergency landing when it was discovered that a frayed wire in the engine was causing serious malfunctions. The president was said to be furious and demanded an immediate investigation of what went wrong with Operation Frayed Wire. First Lady Hillary Clinton has been out of the country this week visiting the remote region of Siberia. Said the president, quote, "When the cat's away, the mice..." Oh, who am I kidding? The mouse screws plenty of women even when the cat's right here. At the White House this week, President Clinton officially came out against same-sex marriages. What's more, the president said he is not too crazy about opposite-sex marriages either. Astronaut Shannon Lucid, back on Earth after a record 6 months in space, was welcomed home Tuesday with a phone call from President Clinton. Said the president, quote, "This is just the beginning. One day we'll be able to send an American into space indefinitely, and I hope it's a woman." Speaking in Australia this week about the problems of being America's First Lady, Hillary Clinton joked, quote, "Perhaps I'll walk around with a bag over my head when I come out into public and have no opinions and never express them publicly or privately." To which the president replied, "Yes, yes, oh God, yes." As new questions arise about Hillary Clinton's role in Whitewater, the president appears to be distancing himself from the First Lady. Earlier today in his weekly radio address, the president insisted, "Hey, I sleep with hundreds of girls. I can't vouch for all of them, you know?" Though more indictments are likely in the Whitewater investigation, President Clinton is still refusing to say whether he will pardon former Whitewater associates Jim and Susan McDougal. But when asked if he would pardon First Lady Hillary Clinton, the president was crystal clear, quote, "She does the crime, she does the time." Court documents made public this week, independent counsel Kenneth Starr told a federal judge that Hillary Clinton is now a, quote, "central figure in the Whitewater criminal probe." Reacting to the news, President Clinton called the investigation a partisan witch hunt, vowing, quote, "If the First Lady is somehow convicted and has to go to jail, I will do everything in my power to wait 2 weeks to start dating." With growing indications that First Lady Hillary Clinton may be indicted for her role in Whitewater, President Clinton is reportedly starting to prepare for that possibility. Plans so far include renting a hall, hiring a band, and making a giant bathtub with margaritas. In a unanimous verdict this week, a Santa Monica jury found O.J. Simpson liable for the wrongful deaths of Nicole Brown Simpson and Ronald Goldman, awarding the plaintiffs damages of $8.5 million. Reacting to the verdict, Simpson insisted that he has nowhere near that amount of money and that his only remaining asset is 30 pairs of Brunei Mali shoes. The announcement of the verdict came toward the end of President Clinton's annual State of the Union address, and to many observers, completely overshadowed the event. Even the president was distracted during his speech, waiting to hear exactly how much it costs to kill your wife. Well, more O.J. Simpson news. On Friday, the Juice officially endorsed Bill Clinton for president, adding, quote, "I'd like to help him any way I can." To which the president replied, "Well, there is one thing." An American President, Rob Reiner's new film starring Michael Douglas and Annette Bening opened in theaters last week. Here with his review is Update movie critic and 42nd President of these United States, Bill Clinton.
Thank you, Norm. Thank you all.
And what did you like best about the movie?
The dead wife.
Independence Day, the science fiction fantasy starring Jeff Goldblum, Bill Pullman, and Will Smith, was not only last summer's biggest box office hit, it was a national phenomenon. Here with his review is Update movie critic and 42nd President of these United States, Bill Clinton.
Thank you. Norm, I think it deals with some of the most fundamental questions of existence. Is there intelligent life out there? Is it friendly? If not, what if it came to Earth and killed the president's wife?
I guess I never thought about that, Mr. President.
I have. Every day of my life.
Last week, the president vetoed a Republican bill to balance the budget, and he used a pen that belonged to former President Lyndon Johnson. Clinton has also been working his way through John F. Kennedy's vast supply of condoms. Well, more bad news for Bill Clinton. This week, an appellate court ruled that Paula Jones can proceed with her sexual harassment suit against the president. Jones' suit is based on a 1991 hotel room encounter during which she alleges that then-Governor Clinton dropped his pants and exposed himself. She is seeking $700,000 in damages, $100,000 for trauma after seeing the governor's penis, and $300,000 for each thigh. Well, Chelsea Clinton turned 16 a few weeks ago, and apparently her father has been teaching her to drive. Early reports say that under the president's tutelage, the first daughter has become exceptionally good at cruising for chicks. A Connecticut hotel where Bill Clinton spent the night has donated to a charity auction a bagel the president ordered from room service but never ate. Though potential bidders should be advised, while the president never actually ate the bagel, he did have, quote, relations with it. Sounds delicious. This week, President Clinton made history when he nominated Madeleine Albright to be first female Secretary of State. Responding to critics who say that she is not the best choice, the president insisted, quote, "She looks a lot better after a couple of drinks." This week, in arguments before the Supreme Court, lawyers for President Clinton asked that the sexual harassment suit brought by Paula Jones be delayed until he leaves office. According to Clinton's attorney, quote, "If the president were hauled into court every time some nut accused him of sexual harassment, he'd have no time to scare up tail." He likes scaring up the tail. Okay. More bad news for the president. This week, convicted Whitewater swindler James McDougal claimed that his ex-wife, Susan McDougal, had an affair with Clinton while he was governor of Arkansas. The president denied the charges, adding, quote, if you really knew me, you'd know that I was always faithful to Jennifer Flowers. In a startling reversal, Kenneth Starr announced yesterday that he would not resign as Whitewater Special Prosecutor and that now he intends to stay on until the investigation is completed. This new development apparently did not trouble a confident President Clinton, who still plans to resume making conjugal visits to Susan McDougal. Yesterday, President Clinton underwent a 2-hour operation to repair damage to his knee, suffered in a fall while visiting in Florida at the home of professional golfer Greg Norman. Many were surprised to hear that the two were on friendly terms, since Greg Norman had once threatened that if he ever caught Clinton with his wife again, he'd smash his kneecap with a 5-iron. The White House says that surviving relatives of those who died in a 40-year-old federal study which allowed men infected with syphilis to go untreated will get an official apology from President Clinton. According to the president, quote, "If not for the sacrifices of these brave men, I would not be alive today." Court-martial proceedings are set to begin Tuesday against Air Force Lieutenant Kelly Flynn, the nation's first female B-52 pilot. Flynn is accused of conducting an adulterous affair with a married man, as well as having a brief fling with a second airman, and then lying about it. An Air Force prosecutor called her, quote, "a sexual predator," while her commanding officer called her a, quote, "lying sex addict." Meanwhile, President Clinton called her. Well, the White House is an empty nest this week following Chelsea Clinton's departure to begin studies at Stanford University. A wistful President Clinton says that while it's difficult to see his daughter grow up, at least now he'll feel less guilty about hitting on her friends. According to Reno, there is no evidence he misused his office to raise money, improperly allowed contributors to stay overnight at the White House, or sought contributions in exchange for political favors. You know, it's hard for me to believe this, but for Janet Reno to send this letter, I guess it must be true. The president's sleeping with her, too. It's beyond comprehension, but... On Tom Snyder this week, actor Tony Danza said he thought the recent open display of affection by lesbian couple Ellen DeGeneres and Anne Hesh in front of President Clinton was extremely disrespectful. On hearing the comment, President Clinton responded, "Someone should tell Tony Danza to shut the hell up." Meanwhile, President Clinton was in Akron, Ohio this week, presiding at a town meeting about race relations in America. The president chose Akron as the site of the meeting, partly because it is the home of the Coming Together Project, an organized effort to end racism, and partly because it is the home of Suzanne Rosenberg, an old classmate from Oxford the president still has sex with. Well, President Clinton received an early Christmas present this week, an adorable Labrador puppy. And presidential historians say that it will be good for his image. According to these scholars, in comparison to a male dog, the president's sex life will seem relatively normal. A 5-year-old child writes, "Dear Mr. President, when the Republicans are finished wasting taxpayer money on their Whitewater witch hunt, perhaps they can join you in your efforts to protect Medicare and the environment and to expand the Earned Income Tax Credit. P.S. Paula Jones was asking for it." Here's one from Elizabeth A. of Long Island, who wrote, "Dear President Clinton, Newt Gingrich is a bad, bad man." Also, Paula Jones was asking for it. The Supreme Court will begin hearing arguments over whether Paula Jones' sexual harassment suit against President Clinton may proceed. Jones, who claims that while governor of Arkansas, Clinton exposed himself to her in a hotel room, says that she can accurately and precisely describe the president's genitalia. But White House spokesman scoffed, quote, "Any woman who's worked in the state of Arkansas for the last 20 years could do that." Does President Clinton have a bent penis? Well, according to a doctor who examined him last week, the president's genitals are, quote, completely 100% normal. It should be noted, however, that the doctor who examined him also has a bent penis. That may color his findings a little. Well, as his last stop on the trip, the president met in Buenos Aires Thursday with Argentinian President Carlos Menem. During the meeting, Clinton asked Menem to continue with economic reform and protect democratic freedoms. Menem, in turn, asked Clinton to show him his bent penis. Tomorrow, Chinese President Jiang Zemin begins a week-long visit that could define U.S. relations with China for years to come. President Clinton plans to ask Jiang for several things, including human rights reform, trade expansion, and a Chinese herb said to have the power to straighten a bent penis. This week, an angry President Clinton demanded that Congress stop dragging its feet on something he has long championed, a medical Bill of Rights for U.S. citizens. In all, there are 10 items in the President's Bill of Rights, running from number 1, a rich, satisfying sex life is the foundation of good health, to number 10, a straight penis is not a privilege, it is a right. Mysterious Indonesian accused of illegally raising millions for the Democratic Party. Earlier this week, Secret Service logs showed that Mr. Wong had visited the Clinton White House more than 60 times. But on Friday, administration spokesman revealed that there are actually 2 John Wongs. Furthermore, they stressed that the John Wong who visited the White House is a different man. He isn't the fundraiser. He's the guy who killed Vince Foster. On Capitol Hill this week, 17 Republican congressmen formally asked the House Judiciary Committee whether there is sufficient evidence to begin impeachment proceedings against President Clinton. In response, the president said, quote, "Hey, you know who would have the answer to that question? Vince Foster." This weekend, veteran news anchorman David Brinkley apologized to Bill Clinton for an election night commentary in which he called the president, quote, "boring and uncreative." Admitted Brinkley, "There was certainly nothing uncreative about the way you moved Vince Foster's body." The president's a murderer. You didn't know that?
Yeah, he's, you know, he's not a liar, a crook, murderer, or anything like that. So it'd be good to get the. See, I think we should get the homicide out of the White House and get like a fresh start, because we don't want any more murderers.
I think we should just go on to the next question.
Who are the murderers?
Yeah.
Oh, Clinton, he murdered a guy.
Yeah, you know, we're not allowed to, you're not allowed to put out no accusations without
That's a little too far.
That's the way it doesn't work.
Let's just go on to the next question.
Yeah.
This is not my week. What can I tell you?
Oh, it's not mine either, and I'm being very nice, okay? Be a good boy. Now, Norm?
Do you never hear that?
No. Listen, we don't need to
I don't
talk
want to get
about
into this,
that.
and I don't want to hear it, and this is not the place to make those accusations, and you're supposed to be funny. Let's get on to the next question. So get with it.
There you go.
This is a live show.
Not for nothing,
Why?
Norm, but you have been properly chastised by Barbara, so I'm now going to ask the next
I
question.
thought it was a matter of record.
Shut up. Look,
Okay.
let me do this, okay?
I'll tell you what's a matter of record. You will not be invited back if you don't shut up. All right, now. Let's talk football.
All right, manslaughter.
Let's talk football.
Norm, did you ever hear the word?
The phone is ringing.
I certainly hope that's somebody calling to tell you to go home.
Oh, no.
Dude, you got a phone ringing.
Oh.
Answer the phone.
Hello? Oh, yeah. Oh, no. The thing is this. There, you know Matt Strauss?
Yeah, the producer.
The producer, he told me it would be funny. He said, like, why don't you carry a cell phone on and then let it ring and then pretend like there's a guy on it?
Is there anybody on it?
No, it's a thing, pretend
You
thing.
know what, Norm? You're a dead man.
Here, you talk to him now.
You know what, Barbara? You know what you said about rage at work?
Give this man a plate of soup and tell him to shut up.
Norm,
All right then. Let's see.
Norm.
What?
Okay, listen, Norm, listen. Not only have you annoyed us, but I've read that you have actually annoyed one of your idols. Who is that?
Oh, the great Bill Cosby.
Yeah, what'd you do?
Oh my God, I love that guy. He's my hero, you know, just like you. Maybe George or Bill Clinton would be your hero. I love.
There's no stopping you, is there?
No, you seem to like Bill Clinton.
There really, and this man leads into our show on Friday night.
I know.
It's all right, his career's over after this anyway. Who cares? Go ahead, Norm.
No, Bill Clinton, who's a great man, obviously. You know, everybody has their opinions, right?
Are you moving along?
No,
You're
Bill
going to get to the
Cosby.
point. Bill
Cosby.
Cosby.
Oh, Cosby.
Oh, God. Cosby.
What's in that
Cosby.
coffee? What are you drinking in there?
Now, Bill Cosby is a great man, first
Okay.
of all. There has never been any accusations toward Bill Cosby about any.
Will you just tell us what you did for Bill Cosby?
Oh, I met him. I opened for him at a club, and he was a great man, you know. He's my hero of all time. You know how funny Bill Cosby is.
Yeah,
right?
so get to the point. I'm going past menopause.
Make the point,
Let's
Norm.
go.
Not everything has a point.
We are learning that, okay?
All right, Norm, you want to finish the story, or shall I ask you the next thing?
Well, the Bill Cosby thing is this.
Dear God.
I met Bill Cosby. We're all fans of Bill Cosby, right, Barbara?
Yeah.
What? Yes. Why don't we talk about the millionaire?
Oh, yeah, you know what? Tonight, Norm and
Yeah,
I...
please. I like Bill Cosby. Let's talk about the millionaire.
Great.
Norm McDonald and I are on The Millionaire tonight.
Oh, yeah.
Well, tell him about that, how you thought he's dumb today. Where do you see
Yeah.
him tonight? Come on, Norm. Tell him, Norm.
People always told me Hollywood was like incredibly liberal of bias, and I thought it was untrue. But
You want to talk about the millionaire?
yes, I
Okay,
do.
fine. You
I
have
do.
10 seconds
tell
to
how
talk
much
about
you
the
want.
millionaire.
Don't tell how much.
Don't tell him what I won?
No.
Oh.
You're not allowed to tell anything like that.
Well, what are you trying to ask him then?
I don't know. He doesn't answer anything anyway. So
All
we'll tell him.
right. Okay, so he's on The Millionaire tonight, and he's on Friday nights, and
And on Monday, his taxes will be audited.
so he's on Friday nights at 9. He's on The Millionaire at 9. You can play along at home on Enhanced TV. You are a number. I have never met anything like you. We will be right back.
You will always have conspiracy theories when you have very challenging public health crises. They are nothing but distractions. You know, I can assure you, we have so much to do to protect the health and the welfare of the American people that I would just hope we just put those conspiracy stuff and let somebody write a book about it later on, but not now.
The problem is you got some people out there who are fanning these conspiracy claims from the planet Pluto. And it's just disgusting what they're trying to say of all these crazy deep state malarkey.
Well, later on, when the records were made public, it was not a conspiracy theory from the planet of Pluto, actually. There were inflated deaths. They were even taking gunshot wounds and categorizing them as COVID deaths.
You're saying there is a massive pressure to artificially inflate the number of COVID-19 cases.
Yeah, I have directly been told to, if a patient has fever and cough or anything similar, to put this COVID-like diagnosis on the chart.
One of the big things the corporate media does to deceive the public is say, oh, there's all these crazies that don't believe a virus even exists. And they're saying nobody's dying. That's not what we're saying.
COVID-19 is the greatest fraud ever pushed on mankind. It is not about a virus.
I believe this is a psychological war upon society.
What are the history books going to say about you? Did you stand up for common sense and critical thinking? I think the answer is clear what I'm going to be doing. What are you going to be doing?
Secure your copy of COVIDland at covidland.com and start fighting back against the globalist lies. Wednesday, September 15th, 2021. is a special day for InfoWars. And it's also going to be an important day for the globalists because it's the day that we start pre-sales on a new film. The first film InfoWars has released in more than 9 years. COVIDland exposes the globalist Great Reset corporate power grab and goes over every facet of how they launched the fraud and how they're using it to take control of our society in their own words. This is the medicine to the globalist tyranny. This is the antidote to their new world order takeover. And it's only part 1 in a 5-part series that is going to be released within the next 6 months. Every month and a half or so, a new part of the series will be released. And the first part is incredibly powerful. You can secure yours now in the pre-order that's going to go for 3 weeks at InfoWarsStore.com, or simply go to COVIDland.com. It'll take you directly to the subpage of InfoWarsStore.com where you can order the film for $19.95 and get a free copy of my seminal film, In-Game Blueprint for Global Enslavement, for free. You can get a second copy of COVIDland Part 1, the film, with another copy of In-Game for free for $29.95. So you have a copy for yourself, a copy to give others, and a copy of In-Game that predicted all of this, again, from the globalist own words. But on top of that, not just In-Game, but also COVIDland has a 0 country code, meaning it works anywhere in the world, and you're authorized for educational purposes to make copies of COVIDland and, of course, In-Game as well, so you can give it to your friends, family, neighbors, air it on Access TV, air it on local TV, I don't care. It's free to air. We want this information to get out to the world. So take action now, expose the globalist plan, and we can stop these tyrants together. Secure your copy of COVIDland Part 1 today, exclusively at InfoWarsStore.com, and it starts shipping in 3 weeks from September 15th, 2021.
We will shut you down, we will cite you, and if we need to, we will arrest you, and we will take you to jail. The time for educating people into compliance is over. We're watching you, and we are going to take decisive action.
If you are not in essential business, I'm using my power as governor under an emergency declaration to order you to close.
COVIDland is a documentary series about the global deception known as the COVID-19 pandemic, with key interviews from scientists, doctors, nurses, authors, and subject matter experts. We untangle the lies about the lockdowns, the face mask, and the so-called COVID vaccines, and show you how the global elite are using health and climate scares to fast-track their New World Order agenda. Secure your copy of COVIDland at COVIDland.com and start fighting back against the globalist lies.